This is Sharon Paley, and I'm here at Evolve Communications with President Daniel Waldman. How are you doing, Daniel?
Awesome.
Good. So what is Evolve Communications? What do you guys do here?
So we are a marketing and PR firm, small boutique marketing and PR firm. We actually specialize in white label marketing and PR services for other agencies. So basically we do all the work and they get all the credit. Other agencies hire us to essentially fill skill sets that they don't necessarily have the opportunity to hire in-house, or sometimes we handle overflow work for other agencies as well. We also work directly with startups and other small businesses.
And do you have a specialty within marketing?
We do a lot of PR, a lot of media relations, certainly a lot of social. We do a lot of strategy sometimes. Messaging is often a big component of what we do, figuring out who the audiences are, what the right messages to reach them, and those kind of things.
You mentioned startups. What are some of the specific marketing issues that startups encounter?
So we've worked with a number of startups in Baltimore and beyond on a variety of different types of projects. It kind of depends on what stage they're in. If they're really young and just starting out, sometimes they don't necessarily know who their audiences are, and they don't necessarily know how to speak to their audiences. A lot of times once they have their product or their service launched, they need to build up their user numbers or their community numbers or whatever it is. So that's something that they often turn to a PR firm or a marketing firm for help with. Even though everybody kind of has a social media aspect of what they do, not all startups really. They might understand some of the underlying technology behind social, but they don't necessarily always know how to harness it and to really use it to grow their own business. So
it's about being strategic.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about being strategic and using your resources strategically. Obviously some startups don't have a big budget, especially if they haven't been funded yet, to do self-promotion. Sometimes we just come in and help sort of give them guidance on, what to do as well. So
before the interview, you mentioned rocket packs. Can you explain what you mean, rocket packs for startups?
Sure. So in January, we launched a set of marketing tools specifically designed for startups, affordable marketing tools specifically designed for startups. It's called Rocket Packs for Startups. Right now we're focusing on 3 different levels. One is, they're all essentially PR levels. One is just the basic beginner package is just a press release and newswire distribution. It's really good for SEO purposes, also getting some general visibility for your company's name. So the mid-level has a little bit more where we put together a custom media list and do some actually proactive outreach in addition to sending out the press release through the newswire. And then the top level, the accelerator package, is basically for companies who need help developing their message, as well as all the other things that came with the other ones, the other packages.
What do you think? Sorry. Go ahead.
We're also working out another package as well beyond that. It's a social media package for startups.
Is that an add-on to the other packages, or it's standalone?
Probably be its own package. We haven't fully figured that one out yet.
Okay,
that's coming down the line. Yeah, it's coming down the line.
What do you think are the biggest PR pitfalls for fledgling companies? Or any companies, maybe they're the same across the board.
Specifically for startups, they don't think to do it. I think that's a pretty big pitfall. There's arguments of whether or not a CEO or their staff, for that matter, should do outreach themselves. If you don't have a budget to hire somebody to do it, I definitely think it's worth your couple hours a week just spending time reaching out to the people in your industry, industry blogs and industry news publications. some of the issues that you get into eventually is, are you reaching a broad enough audience? There's always, for any product or service, there's always going to be some sort of core group of users, but, in order to really grow a business, you need to expand beyond that. And that's certainly something that a, PR firm can help with.
So how do you know when you have news, and how do you know when you're just blowing smoke?
That's a great question. So news, the way I generally define news is anything that's change, anything that represents a change. So that could be, obviously launching something, a new product or service. We've worked with companies that want to announce new client wins and get some recognition in their industry space. If sometimes we'll recommend, for example, depending on the nature of the business, maybe doing some sort of user survey, we can find some sort of insight into their users that we can use to leverage as something that's newsworthy. I can tell you, it's probably almost easier to tell you when you don't have news.
Okay, so let's hear that.
So when you don't have news is when, let me back up. It's very easy for some CEOs to think that everything they do is awesome. And everything they do probably is awesome, but that doesn't necessarily make it newsworthy.
Right.
We've certainly been asked by clients in the past to pitch things that, we didn't always feel was newsworthy. And we try to give counsel for that, about whether or not, we think that's really going to stick with the media and turn into something.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Daniel.
You're welcome. Thanks.